Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Lit in English episode. And we are on season six. Thanks for joining us on this journey. And this is the journey about understanding your inner self, lead a path to happiness as well-being. And in this journey, we are going to explore and connect the knowledge that we have learned from our Vietnamese community, WIT, and we will also implementing some of the knowledge that we learned from happiness studies. And this is a very special one. And this week, with me and some of our MA students are going to Wahasu, World Happiness Summit. Therefore, she won't be here with us, but we do have Diane, one of my dear friends from the MA in Happiness Studies, and she will be joining us today. Hello, Diane. And Diane is great. She very energetic, very open-minded, and I love everything about her, literally. And I love hearing her story. So in this journey, having valuable opinion or perspective from the MA student is very meaningful to me because they will allow me to have a great understanding of our friends out there in the world. Like how do they see, how do they approach these knowledge? And today we have a very special presentation. We are going to explore, activate human brain. And I think it is going to be a very special one. But before going to the presentation for today, activate human brain, I would like to revisit what we did the previous week because all of these knowledge, all of these presentations, they are all interconnected. This is a journey, and I am your fellow journeyers, and together we will go much further. So I have all the appreciation in the world for you for joining me, and yeah, let's get started. So just a quick reflection back on last week topic, the circle of knowledge. And the circle of knowledge simplify knowledge of the entire world. And it's let us know that there are knowledge that we know, which means we know that we know. And there are knowledge that we know we forget. And this is called the forgotten. And then there are knowledge that we know we don't know, called the unknown. And what we don't know, which is vast. And that is called the unconsciousness. And we learn that in order to communicate with other, in order to share with other what we know, often people tend to think about sharing what we know to others, but often that doesn't work because if they already know it, then it is pretty boring. And if they don't know anything about it, they might be very lost. So in order to communicate effectively, we need to start with what others know. We need to start with what they know and expand it out to other layer of the knowledge. And this circle of knowledge had a much greater meaning. It is way more powerful in a way that once you have a realization that there are knowledge that you don't know, but somehow it's come to you and it's make all the senses in the world, you know that to be true. And that is the most important thing that I want you to get from the circle of knowledge. As the great philosopher Plato once said, we are not learning anything new. We are relearning what we have already know. And understanding that we can expand our knowledge, we can allow knowledge to come to us, and we can expand from the no, realize that there are knowledge that we have already known. We simply forget it. And once we have that realization, when we circling what we know and what we don't know, we can eventually, I would like to use those terms, download the knowledge of the world. And I know it's kind of hard to comprehend, but um, the greatest scientists in the world and the greatest mind, they are all aware of this, and we can we can be as great as they are. We have all the right to gain these knowledge, and I would like to connect that to today's presentation on activating the human brain. So how do we activate the knowledge that we desire? So I think this is going to be a really, really good one. All right, let's get started. So first off, I want to introduce an idea. It's more like my observation plus what I have learned from my
Recording in
mentor.
progress.
And
Danny,
so there are
Leon,
actually there are three big view of the world, and let's call them the philosophy point of view. The philosophy. And then we have another view of spirituality. Spirituality. And then we have the perspective of science. All right. So if you were to study great Greek philosophers, we realize that they exercise thought experience a lot, as in they practicing the spiral of knowledge or the circle of knowledge, starting with what they know, and they expand their knowledge, and they comes up with many, many great philosophy, way of life. And by applying those philosophy, their life improve. So philosophy is something very, very important to humankind, literally. And through those philosophy, people's lives improve, and they are practicing those philosophy. They believe in it, and some of the religion came to be because they exercise the philosophy, the knowledge from the philosophy. And you know what? There are many, many of the research studies that have done in the past 100 years. They are actually borrowing the knowledge from philosophers and the teaching in spirituality text, and they come to realize the importance of it in our daily life. So science, some of the scientists, I guess they receive certain information which they know to be true, and they dedicated their entire life to prove that idea to be true. And through science, we learn the effectiveness of the ancient philosophy. Now, I'm mentioning this because this is very much related to our topic today on activate human brain. And I want to borrow a research study that was done in 1960 by Dr. Paul D. Mislin. And he had this idea about the triune brain, the reptilian brain, the mammalian brain, and the human brain, to explain the revolution of how we evolved from the very basic animal to mammal to human, and how the development of the brain affect and influence our decision in life. And we will tie all of that together. And the reason I mentioned the philosophy, the spirituality, and the science aspect of it, because this research study done by Dr. McLean was kind of like denied back in the 1970s due to not sufficient proof in his research study. But everybody in the world during that time, they feel very much related to his research, and it was able to help them understand how we behave a certain way. And from my belief, I believe if something is true, it's something that was introduced and everyone thought of it to be true, and they can learn from it, they can relate from it. I think it's very worthwhile to mention. So there are things in this that some people might not agree to. Just understand that they have different lenses. They might view it in the philosophy lens, they might view it in the spirituality lens, or they might use the lens of science. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce the three brain. All right. So the three brain is very simple. We will learn about the reptilian brain. So this reptilian, and then we have the mammalian, mammalian, and mammalian. And then, of course, we have the human brain. And the idea is that through evolution, the brain evolved from the tiny brain to a bigger size brain, from a more complex brain that we human have. And by simplifying it into these three periods, three evolvement, the scientists realized that for the reptilian brain, it operates based on fear, because the reptilian, they always try to survive, and through that fear, they are able to survive better. And you might hear the term of fight or flight, as in sometimes they decided to fight for their survival. Many times they decided to run away. And for the mammalian brain, is operate under love, and with the love of other, with the love of the parent for their children, or from the children to their parent, they have strength to do beautiful thing in this world. So the mammalian brain is very amazing in that way. And then when it's come to human, we are very unique. We are very special compared to every other human. We are the one who can actually uh, have vision of the future. We can predict the future, and I can write like future sight here, or in this case, let's just write the word sight. And I believe we are the only creature that tend to believe that we know what other people are thinking. We know what other people are saying. So this understand these three brain will help us understand why we behave a certain way, and how can we activate the human brain to live the the most joyful life. And if you want to walk a step further, you will be able to uh, expand your circle of knowledge. All right. And during this presentation, feel free to write your question in the chat. And then later we can always raise hand and share your idea and your understanding, or the lesson that you feel fascinating about this presentation. So, all right, so here it is. All right, I want to draw this eclipse shape here. And this will be a representation of the mammalian brain, right? I mean, the reptilian brain. Just to be sure, let me go ahead and write the word reptilian right on top. Reptilian. And the reptilian brain, it is very good at survival. So I'm gonna go ahead and write the word survival here. Survival. All right. And there was a big question that I asked myself when I was in my early 20s, and I believe everyone had asked this question sometime in their life. And the question is, what is the meaning of life? You know, why are we here? Where did we come from, and where are we going? And one of my best friends, who was my roommate, we often discuss this, and we came to realize from a book, and it's the answer is very simple. The meaning of life is survival and replication. Because if we were to make the observation throughout the world, then it is all about survival and then replication, having children. And in animal kingdom, it is also that way. And we mentioned this earlier, the reptilian brain, it is all about survival. And we can see this in, let's say, a reptilian, like a lizard in Vietnam. The US, we don't have this, but when I was living in Vietnam, there are little lizards that would live near the house. And when it see people, it would froze. It try not to move because it's recognized people as danger. And when I get closer, it's run away. So that is like fight or flight. And in this case, the reptilian brain of the lizard decided to run away. And then the second part is this. I'm gonna want to draw a larger circle that connected to the reptilian brain, and this, let's call this the mammalian brain. Mammalian. And the mammalian brain is about replication. So it is about love. And this is the two most basic. And while we are at it, let's go ahead and draw a bigger circle in the clip here. We'll have a representation of human brain. Let's use this. Okay. Now, one thing that I've learned, and I find it fascinating about the three level of the brain, is that when information come to us, right? This is information. All right. So when information come to us human, it has to go through the reptilian brain first, because it needs to figure out if that information will affect the survival in a good way or in a bad way. If it senses danger, then it will stop there. The information will stop right here, so that the brain would tell the body to either run away or fight. And so if we have the sense that we need to pay more attention on our survival, then the information will stop there. However, if the information come to us and we recognize that it is not a dangerous situation. And the research studies tell us that the information would move forward to the mammalian brain. And for the mammalian brain, it will take the information and it will recognize to see if the information is good for love or not. And in this way, let's call it the emotion, either emotion positive or is the emotion negative. Very important to recognize between these two. Now, why is it important for us to understand this? And in order to understand this, we have to look at the how the reptilian involved to mammal. And if you were to look at the animal kingdom, you would realize that there are certain animal like fish. They are all about survival, and they tend to lay a lot of eggs, and then they just leave it there, right? And then they worry about their own survival because they have to survive the tough condition. And through evolution, we see that for once the reptilian evolve into the mammalian brain, it's care more about love because it has mastered survival. Many of the mammalian animal, they live in pack and they learn how to support one another through love. And by doing that, they increase their chance of survive. And for the mammal, they tend to have less offspring and they spend more time take care of the offspring. So that is the entire evolution. And by related that to the human brain and how it's evolved from the reptilian brain to the mammalian brain to the human brain, we recognize that in today's world, we no longer have to worry about the danger out in nature, right? We live in house, we have full war. If we need a food, we can just go to the grocery store to buy food. We have the community, even the government to take care of our well-being. Therefore, we don't really have to worry too much about survival like how we were thousands of years ago when we were still cavemen, where we have to hunt and hunting and gathering. What about love and having children? That is taken care of as well. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of love out there. We receive a lot of support from our community, our family, the government. Like for me personally, we just recently have a baby, and the government would take care of all of the bill from the hospital, and so those two basic needs are the thing that we no longer have to worry about. However, if we are not aware of the current situation that we are in, and um, if we still have to worry about our survival and the replication part, we often see that there are many people they all they're focusing about is their survival. They would be very anxious of their life, and because of that, the information when it's come, it couldn't advance any further. It's stuck where the survival is, right? But as we have already know, life has many beautiful things that it can offer. We can see beauty in the world. We can go on a journey and we can appreciate a flower on the side of the road or the beautiful scenery. So life is like that in a way, but if we still stuck as survival mode, if we can still have to worry about, let's say, put food on table and the well-being of our family, we often got stuck here. And even in the life that we live now, even though we get all the love, all the support in the world, but people tend to be more negative, right? And for the Western point of view, um, I read from a book saying that in the 1900s, it was thought that if we can increase the income of the people, then they will be happier. That was the thought. But fast forward into um, the current life, the income increased 3 times, 5 times, even 10 times, but people are not getting any happier. In fact, in a country like Japan, there's the very high rate of suicide, and that give us a very concerned idea, information that the emotional part, when information come through the mammalian brain, if we were to maintain that negative feeling, it will kick us right back to the survival mode. And unconscious, unfortunately, most of us are still uh, living in this vicious cycle of returning back with the reptilian brain and then go into the mammalian brain and keep going back and forth. Now, understanding this, the question we ask ourselves is, so how do we activate the human brain? Right? What do we need to do? Thanks to my mentor and my great master, we realized that the way that we can activate the human brain is by practicing these 3 things. And that is having lesson, and we gain deep understanding of this lesson. We understand, and then we will reach enlightenment. And the lesson has to be new lesson, something new. And the deep understanding, we have to be able to apply it. It's applicable to have application. And for the enlightenment, it is the answer that we have been seeking for, but we haven't had the answer for a very long time. But one day we realize that that is exactly the answer that we have been looking for. Now, for our MA student, MA in Happiness Study, as our certificate student, you might be more familiar with I am, right? I am is the stand for something interesting, something actionable, and something is meaningful. And this is something that we have to do every time we complete a reading or a video. And I found a similarity in both of this technique, and both of this can activate the the human brain in a very traumatic way. So once again, new lesson, then you can relate it to something very interesting. Deep understanding is when you truly understand it, and you have to be able to apply it. So this is very much related to the word actionable and enlightenment when you have answer. And this is very much similar to something being meaningful. There's a lot of similarity between the two. And I'm focusing on that because we are told that this is how we activate our human brain, and we don't get any answer because this relates back to what I introduced in the beginning. If something works right, let's say if you want to boil egg, the simpler way is just boil some water, drop some egg in there, and you get the boiled egg. You don't need to understand like why it works. But in this journey, not only we know how to apply certain technique, but we will try to understand why was it working in that way. Now, if we were to go back to the previous page of the drawing, we will see the magic in his three-word lesson: deep understand and enlighten, because that was what had make the difference from the reptilian brain to the mammalian brain, right? Because after the reptile learn how to survive, they no longer have to worry about their survival in nature, and they develop the sense of love, the sense of community, and eventually many of them live in pack. Now, how does that relate to the lesson, deep understanding and enlightenment? So the lesson would be the ability to increase their survival chances. There are certain lizards that learn how to change their skin color to increase their survival. The puffer fish, for example, is puff up is have poisonous inside to protect itself. A snake have a sense of protection by having venom, for example. And if we were to look at a lion, they will have a sharp claw to help them protect themselves. And all of that, the trail are lesson that they understand how to apply, and through that, they are able to survive more in nature. And the mammalian brain is operated based on love, and it's able to learn how to protect the child effectively and increase the surviving rate, and how to live life with positive emotion. Now we tie all of that together, and then we realize that in order to activate the human brain, there is there are steps to it. If we want to keep it simple, all we need to do is to learn something new, make sure we understand it, apply it, and we find an answer in how to live life the most meaningful way. Kind of like the principle of light that I introduced a couple of weeks ago, of how we need to be proactive rather than reactive, right? We shouldn't wait until we get sick to take care of ourselves. We can take care of our health right now. And by having the understanding that there are only four categories in life that we need to be proactive about, which are the inner self, health, relationship, and finance, we are able to stand above many, many problems and challenges arises in life. So for this, we realize that we no longer have to worry too much about our survival. We learn to accept information. We take information in without being too negative about worrying about our survival. Similarly, when information comes, especially in this world, we can learn to receive it positively, and that will allow the information to enter to the human brain. Now, the human brain, we have the ability that the other two doesn't have, which is vision. And vision, when you receive information, there are two possibilities as well. You might see a great outcome from that. For example, let's say you start an investment in the stock, and you have the vision that that stock will do well based on all the information that you have, and that would be called a positive vision. And there are also a potential of a negative vision. So if information comes to you, even though you have positive emotion about it, but when the vision of it doesn't look right, then again, the information would kick back to the mammalian brain. And I would like to relate this back to 22 years ago when I decided to leave Vietnam to move to the US. When the information come to me, I didn't have to worry about my survival, even though going to a country that I didn't know anything about sounds pretty scary, right? I had to be by myself. I would have my relative, but they were not close to me. But when the information come to me, I was okay with it. And in fact, I was very happy. It generated a lot of positive emotion for me because I I can see that I will be able to meet many great people, many great teachers that I can learn from. I see the US as a beautiful country with like skyscraper, big cities and Hollywood and all that. Very, very positive image of the future. And because of that, I am here today, thanks to the vision that I had 20 some years ago. Similarly, a successful billionaire like Bill Gates, like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk, they all are able to kind of activated their brain in this way. In the case of Bill Gates, he was able to see that the importance of computer, and he see the vision of started software company like Microsoft, and thanks to that, he became one of the most wealthy uh, person in the world. And they activated that through this lesson, deep understanding and enlightenment. And this is the benefit of activating the human brain because when you allow information come to you, there are a lot of information around all around us, but the willingness to look at it positively can allow positive vision to us, and that enrich our experience in life and relating that to the circle of knowledge. Once you can activate the information in this way, showing appreciation toward the positive emotion, the positive vision, we will be able to receive information rather than blocking it. All right. And you see the relationship here. When information come to us, if we treat it as the survival mode, then that's all there is. No, it could not go any further. Similarly, when information come to us, if we don't look at it in a positive manner, if we don't appreciate it, the information kick right back to the reptilian brain. Therefore, in order to receive knowledge, in order to receive information, even vision like Bill Gates, like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk have, the step is to accept the information with an open mind, appreciate it, and then appreciate the positive vision, the beautiful vision that you see. And this presentation is about activate the human brain. And you might ask yourself that I see the reptilian, the mammalian, and the human brain. So where would the activation of the human brain be in this picture? And some of you might think that it is this area, this yellow area that I highlighted here. But for me, activating the human brain is about this, right? This here is activating the reptilian brain. The reptilian brain realize that there are information that can be good for their survival. And that's how they are able to evolve to the mammalian brain. They learn their lesson. They have a deep understanding of that information. They have answers to their survival. All right, they can change the skin of their uh, they can change the color of their skin, or they can grow like claw, or they have different strategy for survival, right? And then they are able to evolve into the mammalian brain where they can appreciate the positive emotion. They can use the power of love. And by practicing, by exercising that I am, right, something interesting, actionable, meaningful, or in this case, learn the lesson, new lesson, have a deep understanding, apply that deep understanding, find the answer, reach enlightenment. In this case, we will borrow the example of the mammalian of how they figured out that they can live in pack. They can live as a couple to take care of the children. They can have less babies so that they can actually care for those babies rather than having thousands or even like millions of eggs like fishes in the sea. And those are the lesson, deep understanding and enlightenment as well. Now, when we connect that to activation of the human brain, I would like to introduce an idea of something greater, something even bigger. And we don't know what it is, but great thinkers often talk about this. They often talk about a state where some people reach enlightenment, where they feel one with the world, where they receive a lot of wisdom. In the case of famous scientists, they receive these beautiful scientific idea and they dedicated their life to prove it to be true. Many of them just practice it and live a good life. So how can we activate the human brain? It is quite simple. Information will come to us from our unconsciousness, right? From what we don't know, we don't know. This can very much go from there. We can pretty much download it to the no, and information is out there, and information need a way to come to us. And thanks to our mentor, our teacher, we realize that when information comes to us, it is important that we accept it as good information, as if it's good for our survival. And then when the information come to us, we need to look at it positively. This has changed my life, everyone, because it's easy to appreciate good thing when a good thing happen to you, like making money, for example, getting a raise at job, at your job. But of course, there are experience where we might not like it, right? Maybe someone break in your car, or you happen to lose your wallet, for example. That could be very negative. But if we can learn to learn the lesson behind the event, then we can maintain a positive attitude, because life is like a school, it's a constant uh, opportunity to learn. There are lessons that we need to learn, because if we don't learn it, it will happen again sometime in our life. So instead of looking at it negatively, we need to see it as an opportunity to grow. By appreciate it, then the information will continue to go to the human brain. And with that information, we have the option to choose to see the information positively or negatively. And one of the truths that I realized that all of the information, it is very, very positive. The world is filled with love. The world is filled with light, whether you agree with it or not. You know, it's kind of like parents give a good spank to their children. They didn't do it out of hate. They do it out of love, so that the children can learn from their mistakes, so they don't make a bigger mistake later on in life, because the bigger mistake might destroy them, right? And another example is kind of like our immune system, right? When we get our flu shot, then the immune system have the opportunity to become stronger, so that when the disease show up, the body would know how to fight it. So it is all about opportunity to grow. It is all about the opportunity to experience this life. And if we can just have that mentality, I believe personally, I believe that the universe has so much to give in, in relating and connecting this to the source of knowledge. And activating the human brain is all about finding new lesson in life, understand the lesson in life, and apply in life, right? Don't wait for sickness to come. Take care of your body, appreciate your body, and then you will find the answer, you find enlightenment. Mm, there are so many lessons that we can learn in this life. And by doing that, we will be able to activate the, the human brain. So I know there are a lot of information that I introduce, but if there is one takeaway, it will be this, right? Instead of try to understand it before you apply it, we can just apply it, and we will be able to receive many great things in life. There is a story about a person who got shot by a poisonous arrow, right? Instead of asking the question where this arrow come from, who shot me, what kind of poison this is, if that person would just sit there and wondering about all of that question, then he will die, right? But the person who take action and cure himself, get that arrow out and treat the wound, and he will survive. So in that way, in that urgency, throughout this journey, we will introduce many applications, many actionable lesson that we can apply. And you can choose to walk a different path. You can choose to wait till you understand it to apply it, or you can choose to believe it and apply it, or you can just choose to receive the information and not doing anything about it. Everything is fine. But in this journey, I think it is meaningful that we connect all of these dots together and understand that, you know what, you don't have to live in survival mode all the time. You don't have to live in fear all the time. You can choose love, and you don't have to uh, worry too much about the future, and you don't have to regret the past. When you have this vision, you can choose to be solution focused. You can choose to look at positive outcome. Look at the glass half full rather than half empty, and your glass will be very full beyond your imagination. So with that, I would like to open up for Q&A. If you have any If you have your IM, feel free to share. And this is how we apply this activation of the human brain, by the way, by having less new lesson. What deep understanding that you have gained from the presentation, and what answer do you have? Or to simply put, uh, tell me your I am. What do you find interesting? What do you find actionable? And what do you find meaningful in this? And I would love to invite either Giovanni and or Diane to share first your thought on this. I see Diane raise your hands. So I will invite Diane. Uh, please unmute yourself, Diane.
Yes, I was just I was just writing a couple of I am statements. So some thoughts that went through my head as you were giving the talk are, I thought, what are some things that happen in the part of the brain after the human brain? So the most further right one that you drew, the last one. And so I was kind of coming up with some ideas, and I thought untapped powers, or maybe the ability to affect our own autonomic nervous systems through choice instead of by a biological process through choice, or perhaps our central nervous system or our peripheral nervous system. And that made me think of Wim Hof and how he works with his body to do exactly what you said to mitigate ingested poisons. He'll show, I haven't seen it, but I've heard, and there's no doubt, that he'll ingest a poison that makes you vomit violently and have diarrhea. And other people, if they were to take that, that's what would happen to them. But he tells his body in some way, maybe this far right brain, to neutralize the toxin, the poison. And so that's very interesting. He's also the man who, Wim Hof is, who breaks cold water survival records. And so that was just a chain of thinking that was going through my head as we talked about what is that far right part of the brain. And I do have another I am, but I'd rather let Giovanni go, and maybe if we talk about that for a little while, and I can always come back with my other I am later.
Thanks, Diane. That is a great I am. And by the way, Wim Hof is the person who trained his body to the extent where he can literally live in the cold.
What?
Breathing,
Did you just
right?
tell me that Wim Hof is the one who presented this to you?
No, it's not. I'm just saying that Wim Hof. Just share with the other people in the room who might not familiar with Wim Hof.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say small world.
Okay. All right, my bad. All right, Giovanni.
Hey Ben, hey Diane, thank you for that. I want you to, yeah, leave it right here, real quick, because as you can see, I mean, I wrote a lot of notes, so you got to bear with me. This to me, when you first started drawing it, I looked at it as if it was an eyeball itself, and then when you started coloring the two yellow under survival and love, I thought of how we see through our eyes. We need two lights to see. And then when you drew in the third one, I thought that was the light that was reflecting back into the eyeball, which is what true reality is before the information is downloaded into our eyes. Which, I found pretty interesting that I saw the reptilian brain kind of as a means to like spirituality as well, because it helps us explore like something deeper. Like something like a survival, like why do we even need to survive? But I thought that, that our true meaning is to seek our meaning beyond being just a survival means. So that's why we moved into like the love aspect of it. I saw survival kind of like a form of like separateness from everything. You know, it's either you or me. We see ourselves as separate, where there's a lot of negative in that. So in one aspect, one light is negative. When we get into the mammalian brain, the love aspect of it, all love that's all positive. So now you have one negative light and one positive light, both reflecting that one light. And I thought that the mammalian brain to me kind of represented the philosophy in the triangle, because this is like how we inquire into like, you know, things like ethics or morality or just our overall, you know, relationships. And I thought that, you know, philosophy is just basically everything that is known. So if philosophy is everything that is known, then spirituality is everything that is basically that is being known right now in like, you know, our eternal presence. But the vision aspect of me is what really got me thinking about the eyeball, because it just makes sense that if we are two lights, one is negative, one is positive, reflecting the same light, which is, you know, all light is eternal, as we know from science. Then to me, the human brain represents science. It represents basically our own capacity for you know, higher cognitive functions, you know, which includes things like reasoning, for example, you know, to have wisdom to use this knowledge. So I kind of saw survival and vision as two extremes. And then I saw love as like the middle pathway, the middle path. And I thought that that was interesting, because then I saw the yellow as like doors opening up, and we get to choose. You said choice, but we get to choose which door we want to walk through. You know, once we have this inner vision, and more than likely, you know, we'd always want to choose the middle path, knowing, you know, from our experience that either extreme is not good. Anything too much of anything is not good for us. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I related, if you go back to the lessons, the deep understanding, so I related this kind of to the triangle that you put up. So here I said that the lesson equals the science aspect of it, because science does provide us with lessons about, you know, our natural world, you know, the laws, patterns, its mechanisms, things like that. And then I put down here that this activates the human brain by engaging our curiosity. That's what science does. So, and then I went to deep understanding, and I automatically thought, you know, that's the philosophy aspect of the triangle. It helps us, you know, philosophy helps us to really go deep and question everything that's fundamental to our reality, to our existence, to our knowledge, you know, to everything. And I said that this activates the human brain by helping us think more critically, how to analyze, you know, complex ideas and really go deep into them. And then the last thing I put here is that the enlightenment, the answer is the spirituality aspect of that triangle. I said that, you know, obviously everything that we read, you know, spirituality is always associated with enlightenment, you know, and all that means is to transcend, you know, the material world, which is the science world, and transcend that world and the rational realm, which is the philosophy realm, right? So if you look at the triangle, spirituality is automatically transcending both the material world, which is the science, and the rational world, which is the philosophy. So whenever we do that, this allows us to connect to a higher power of love, you know, through light, basically. You know, that this is how we know that we are consciousness, basically. This is how we all want to be happy. This is the way to find your happiness is through going inside of yourself, going from within, trusting your intuition. Tuition, I've journaled before that, we in this master's program or people who have, been going through the certificate program, we're paying money to get this knowledge. That's called paying tuition, right? But we all have an intuition. This is a free knowledge inside of us. It's all knowing. It incorporates all aspects of this triangle. And if you rotate the triangle fast enough, it creates a circle, right? So that means that there's something encompassing the triangle that has this deeper knowledge that we can tap into. And when I look at that, I say, well, what is the circle? It's all this is allowing us to make choices, which is our will. And that's our true power is whatever we want to do with our will. And then it got me thinking to the last week, I believe it was when you drew the will in the middle, right? And even right there in the no, if you take the triangle and you spin it real fast, then all you have is the no, everything that you know that you know. You're always in the center of that, and you can only find that by going within. So I found it very, enlightening in itself. I found it very interesting, because I always like to go back to, my original metaphor, which is of the seed. I saw philosophy, which is the mind aspect of knowing. I saw it as a seed, which, a seed has all the potential that's held inside of it automatically. It's like the blueprint of a tree, basically. And then I saw science as, our perceived reality in time. That's our knowing. But I saw that as a seed, which is like sprouting. It's growing into like a tree, basically. It's exploring its nature, it's exploring its environment, and it's reaching towards the light. And then I saw spirituality, which is like the immaterial world. It's the reality that's actually in eternity when you take out past and future. I saw that as like the tree that's actually, bearing fruit, which is spirituality in itself. And I just thought that that's just combination of, our growth of what we're here to do, our higher, self, is somewhere out there waiting for us to tap into that power. So I appreciate, all of this. Really do. Thank you.
Giovanni, again, that is wonderful. That is amazing. I never thought of it this way. And I knew that when I invite you guys into this conversation, I will get to learn new things too. Because when I approach this knowledge, I believe it to be the absolute knowledge, right? In a way where it doesn't matter how you look at it or where you come from, you will see truth in it. And in this journey, when we go together, we will see different perspective of it, and we learn something new, and we see the holistic picture of it. And what you mentioned just now is amazing. I never see it this way of how lesson can be related to science, how deep understanding related to philosophy, and how enlightenment related to spirituality. It's make all the sense in the world. So by exercising your I am, by exercising these wonderful teaching that I've learned from my great master, by continuously having new lesson and have a deep understanding of it, so that we can apply it and find an answer to the question that we have been having for a very long time, but we have not had answers to, reach enlightenment. And that literally activate this human brain and take us to, I would call, a greater being, a greater understanding of the world. So initially, I would just try to understand why is it that there are some people in the world who can kind of like download information like scientists, for example, because if you really think about it, they have to receive the information first before they dedicated their time, money, and effort to prove whatever research study that you can think of, whether it is about develop the atomic bomb or to come up with a vaccine. The idea has to exist first before science can prove it. All right. So the information has to come from somewhere. And the activation of the human brain, like you explained, Giovanni, like what you realize, it's almost like a doorway, right? To experience life in a deeper layer, in a much higher level, I believe. And somehow all of this tied together, all of this are interconnected. And this is part of the reason I rushed through this presentation, to be very honest, because this is a long presentation. I can do this for 2 hours, but I have to shorten it to 40 to 45 minutes because I want to hear what you say. I want to see your perspective, everyone. And I see Giovanni unmute himself. Feel free to speak up, Giovanni.
No, I just want to say that this doorway, I saw the doorway as a doorway to light itself. Like I saw yellow as being everything, and we were just getting slices of it. We have these 3 doorways, and we get to choose now that we have, now that we know we can get this inner vision, which doorway we want to go through. Do we want to be recycled in the survivor mode? Do we want to stay, here in the human and trust our vision, which are really just illusions, or do we want to know reality in itself and go through that doorway through love? So that's how I saw it, and I really appreciate what you do in this platform by you drawing it out and taking your time, because I feel like I'm receiving messages and I have to, all of my stuff is on paper and I have to make sense of it all. But I'm just happy to remove myself out of the way to let it come out how it needs to come out, and that's it. So I think that the end all be all is we all need to reach light. We can either get there through philosophy, we can get there through science, or we can get there through spirituality. But the best way is the middle path, which helps you transcend, straight into enlightenment, basically. So, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And of course, we can discuss from different perspective, from different lens. Giovanni said a lot to our spirituality, but for philosophy, that is very sound as well. Same for science. And in this journey, we will explore different point of view, different lenses. And I see Victoria has been raising her hand for a while, so I would like to invite Victoria.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Ben. Thank you very much for your presentation. I really love it because it's so clear and inspiring for me. So, yeah, I have noted a couple of I am and to share with you. First thing I would like to share is the 3 mode of existence: survival, love, and vision. And I can't disagree more, because the thing is, for me, I don't know what happened to you, but I apply to myself, and I think I have these 3 mode of existence that function at the same time within myself. Firstly, I have a survival instinct, I have fears, I have a lot of reactive behavior that I still need to work on in order to control them and make them properly. So that is my first survival instinct. And I know that now I start to see it clearly that, okay, why I do that way, why I react that way, and why I have this feeling that way when I come across something or somebody or some situation. And I have come to realize that all these things that are not explained from a logical point of view, it comes from my deep unconsciousness impulse and from my fears, deeply hidden fear, that now I try to notice and embrace them. I just want to look at them when they appear, and I try to understand where they come from and how I can do it better, so I'm not controlled by the fear. For example, the fear of public speaking is my greatest fear. Oh my goodness. I love to talk. I love to learn new things. I love to share with people what I know. But when it comes to presenting something in front of the public, oh my goodness, it's completely I'm controlled by fear. So now when I come to realize my fear, I know, okay, I will confront my fear, but actively and take initiative to talk and try to organize my thing and engage in deep learning. And then so I feel more confident to be able to present. So that's one of the things that I think that I'm working on my fears. And then after this survival mode, I also functioning on the mode of love, which means that, okay, I have a lot of love for those, my friends, my family. But then I think I need to develop, my love can grow stronger as well. I can just love those who are strangers to me, and even those who previously I consider as my enemy. But nowadays I consider that no one is my enemy, just myself is my enemy to myself. So I try to develop love in my relationship. And this one, I'm talking about the pillar of emotion and relational well-being in the SPY model. And I think it's very important because I think that everyone has a lot of love, but somehow we are obstructed to let out our love to manifest so that we come close to each other. We feel warm and friendly and a lot of love. So I think that because of our impulsive, our fears, or maybe if I believe in Buddhist teaching about karma, then maybe probably this feeling, these fears that prevent me from expressing love to those, to all the humanity or everyone, then that could be my fear, and that could be something that I may have done in the past. So that reinforced my belief in the teaching of karma. And so I work hard on improve my love so that I can see more friends rather than just opposing to other people. So that is the second mode of existence. And my third mode of existence is a vision of humanity. This I think that has a lot to do with my self-awareness and my consciousness mind, the thing that I can control, right? With my reason, with my logical thinking. Then I know that, okay, this is true, that we all belong to our universal family. We all belong to something that is greater and whole and embracing everything. It's just like different part of my body like that. I don't make distinction whether I lie my right hand or my left hand or my head, but not I dislike my feet. No, I cannot like that. I need to cherish all the parts of my body equally. So in the same way, I feel that, okay, now if I want to develop love for everyone, then I need to consider everyone to be my friends and to be like member of a bigger family, a family of happiness, a family of well-being, a family of love, of vision, so that we can help each other to overcome our fears. And then we feel safe and we feel okay, even that no one will attack me, no one will harm me. So that we feel safe and we feel happy, and we can express our talent, our love, our creativity, and build a better and more peaceful world for everyone to live and to thrive. So I feel that these three modes of existence simultaneously function within myself. And so it should be the same for everyone, whether or not they may be aware or not. So the work of everyone is that to work on ourselves. And I rejoice in Japanese comments about we need to come back to ourselves, to listen deeply to our need, to our behavior, and reflect on why we do this thing, why we think this way, why we react this way. And based on this understanding, then we can apply what we learn, what the teacher give to us, the philosophy, the good idea, why the great thinker all the time, they think the same way. that they encourage people to be peaceful toward each other, to be kind to each other, to appreciate, to develop gratitude and kindness instead of violence or instead of criticizing or getting other down. So that is the philosophy. The greatest philosophy for me is kindness. Everyone belongs to the same family, so everyone is kind to us, right? And then next, another presentation I really love is practical application. And I choose to apply to myself and to the extent of my family. My son, I have a son. And so one of the reasons that motivated me is that, okay, if I apply the best thing to myself, then I will likely have the chance that he will follow and take me as an example. And I think that is the best gift that I could give to my son, like that. So it's my practical application, apply the teaching, what I cherish most into my daily life and into myself with courage and without fear. And then belonging to this kind of community make me feel safer and make me feel like, okay, that I'm on my right track. And I feel confident to happily to engage in the journey with my friends. And lastly is in terms of spirituality and enlightenment. That's so true. And then what is really hit me in the presentation is when Ben say meaning of life. Wow, meaning of life. What is it? Of course, we have 3 modes of survival, but the most basic thing that we all want is happiness. Everyone wants to be happy. No one wants to be unhappy. So it's the same for you and it's the same for me. And we work together. Maybe we work different way. We have different method how to meet our needs and improve ourselves. But basically, we have the same wish, which is to be happy. And then we have a very clear path that explained by Tom, by our kind teacher, that is the spy. We can just improve on those elements of ourselves. Then we can be happy and we can make ourselves happier and we can help others to be happy as well. So basically, the presentation for me is so wonderful. And then the way that Ben approach and present in a very, very in a pace that allow people to follow, even that we know nothing about this, because as you said that I'm very new, I'm newbie here. So, but for me, I'm able to get the knowledge that Ben share with us and apply into, I can take away and apply right away in my daily life. So thank you very much, Ben and everyone.
Oh, that is beautiful, Victoria. That is powerful too. And this is why I appreciate this journey so much, guy. I appreciate your presence because each perspective teach me new lesson. This is powerful. What Victoria is saying is that there are living perspective, there are a way of living that we can choose, and there are so many people choose to live in a survival mode. They constantly have to worry about putting food on table, paying their bills, and keep having to worry about their survival. And they might not have to. They just chose to live that way. And then there are people who choose to live their life with love. They might not have much, but they are all about giving. They are all about living the good life, being kind to others. And of course, there are people like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, like I have mentioned, they live on their visionary mode. They have vision of the future. They live and they work really hard for the future. So through this just one page, somehow it's lay out the different path that a person might choose, that a person might take. And each and every one of this, I think it's powerful in its own way, because there are times that we need to survive, right? Because if there is a car coming, you better move out of the way, right? Information coming, the car is on its way to you. It's best to move out of the way. You can't just sit there and appreciate the beauty of the color of the car. That doesn't work, right? Or if you just sit there and focusing on the vision, if the car gonna turn somehow or if the car hit you, that doesn't solve the problem either. At that very moment, you need to get out of the way. And when the information about love or the information come about the vision, each area of this layer is important for us to recognize so we can live life to the fullest. And I love what Victoria said earlier about happiness. And let me go ahead and write the word happiness here because this is another realization that I have too. So happiness. All right. So earlier, Victoria connect the beauty of happiness to focusing on the positive living. And in that way, we can literally understand the meaning of happiness in this one picture as well. And I never seen it this way before. But just imagine, right? When information come to you and you have to realize, you have to make sense of it. You have to figure out if it is good for your survival. And if it is good for your survival, this little plus side here, positive, that is happiness, right? Because you survive, I feel this too. There are danger moments that I experience in my life, and I make it past it. I survived the situation. I was very happy. Let me tell you, it is amazing. Imagine like not having like a hot meal. You are hungry or you are thirsty, and you are able to drink that delicious water or whatever your favorite drink is. That is happiness. Same for emotion, right? When you receive love, when you receive appreciation, gratitude, you feel good about it. And that is happiness, even in the mammalian brain. What about human vision? When you see great thing in your mind, like how much love you are getting from your parent or from your children, or how much you are appreciated by your boss or your coworker, that can generate happiness too. And I'm sure for people like Bill Gates, when he was younger, he has to work really, really hard for his goal of creating Microsoft, but he's still happy, right? He leaning toward that vision. What about other great thinker who lead a revolution? I forgot the name of the guy from India and South Africa, but they went through a lot. They went through a lot of pain, but they are happy. They were happy leading that movement. And similar to like just like me, I have a newborn, but I'm so happy to be here. I have to put out extra work to present this, but this brings me a lot of happiness because I see the vision. I see the change that I will receive in my fellow journeyer, such as yourself. But let's give this another thought here. Just like the question of Diane asked earlier that we can discuss in a little bit. Like personally, I don't know what this is. I don't know what the next move is, but I'm sure that it is there. If the first, second, and third layer is here, the fourth and many other layer is definitely there. Just like what the circle of knowledge tell me, it is knowledge, it's come to you. It has to be true. We might not be able to prove it through science, but there are knowledge that we simply just know to be true. But there are definitely other tier of happiness that we can have. And this is why I love one of Tao's description of happiness is like the sun. If you're staring at the sun, then it will hurt your eyes. But if you can see it through the beauty of the rainbow and appreciate each and every color of the rainbow, then you can appreciate happiness there indirectly. And there's so much more to it, guys. We can talk about this for like 10 days straight. But I see Jasmine has been raising her hand for a while, and then Diane. So please, Jasmine, feel free to unmute yourself first.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Ben, and thank you everyone for being here. I um I I wanna share my AM with everyone, especially when I listen to Diane, to Giovanni, and Victoria. So what I like about Diane AM was she mentioned about Win Home. I forgot his name again, but I know who you mentioned because literally a few days ago, Ben and I was talking about him as well. Just because a few days ago I took a shower and I usually take a hot bath or like just like steam shower. And literally a few days ago, I just like after the hot shower, I wrinkle myself with cold water, and I suddenly feel good. And like in the middle of the night, nobody would want to take a cold water, but I did, and I feel great. And so I was hmm, um, like in Asia, we took cold water all the time. Like it's especially with the humid in the air and tropical weather. I took cold shower, but when I came to America, I have never done that before. I actually like scared when I take cold shower, but I did that a few days ago. And with the reptilian brain, usually it kind of like connect to our spine. And every time that we feel like we do something strange or we do something that we just feel scared and we have anxiety, that area of our back, right at our scalp and our spine, we feel tense. So in the past couple days, I feel tense for just because the weather change, I feel tense. And by taking cold shower, I feel released and I feel energetic again. So it's just something that kick that kind of like telling our brain and our brain tell our body that it affect our survival. You know, like you was you were strong the past couple of days. How come you feel headache? You know, so that reptilian brain could affect our survival mood by affect our body by making our body feel uncomfortable. And just the cold shower helped me feel released, and taking supplement and taking a good nap could help my body feel released again. So that's one thing that I realized with the cold shower, and it's related to reptilian brain. And what Giovanni said that I really love as well, and also Ben love, is he showed the doorway to each brain. It's kind of like I can see myself open the door to another brain if I want to go to another brain, which I have never thought of before. And what I love about Victoria, and also Ben demonstrate that in the paper now, and I have not never seen that before too, but it's so true. Have like open up a new understanding of this human brain activate. Um, and also for this AM um, practical, I lately share with my mom how to write out her AM, what she realized, the lesson that she want to do, and then and then what she realized in her life, and maybe something that she want to do but she cannot do yet. So I share with her how she can write her AM down instead of calling everybody and talk to everybody about her dream, because she had done that in her entire life, but it did not work out the way she wants. So literally, I spent um, not even 45 minutes, not even within less than 45 minutes, we wrote out 2 page of what she wants in the form of AM, lesson and her realization and what she appreciates, thing like that. So only less than 45 minutes, her energy shift from negative to positive. And she had learned this exact material in the past years, but she did not have a big change until a couple weeks ago. Maybe last week we sat down and I have her write out her AM. Within that 45 minutes, her energy shift, her words, her wording was shifting as well. It literally amazing because I was like, it took me almost 2 years in the day that I start learning MA in happiness until now that my wording start changing to, you know, like to be positive and brightening. But it only take my mom 45 minutes and less to change her wording and the way she see things around her. You know, it's more positive, and she starts speaking more positive, and she start thanks me and Ben for things that we have done for her, and that's what I um kind of like expect her to do, but she did not. She had never done it before, but sometimes she do it just because, you know. And literally just this AM, what she could write out, and she write out, change her wording, change her energy in a split second. And up to until now, I don't have to do anything else. All I have to do is just like become her, you know, accountability partner. You know, sometimes we call, or like sometimes we met at home, and then I asked her if she write out any AM, and she had done it. I read her book, like I read her novel or like her diary just to see like how she write it, and it's flawless. It's amazing. I literally go outside and suggest everybody to start doing the AM because it's just amazing. So that's what I want to share with everybody, and I can not stop recommend everybody to do AM just because it's just amazing, and it improved my relationship with my mom in another level. And thank you everybody for listening.
Thanks, Jasmine. That is wonderful. And I want to make sure that Diane have time to speak. So Diane, feel free to help yourself.
I couldn't understand exactly one word that Jasmine was saying. It was the I am. So were you saying like I am statements, or did I not understand the word?
Right. So what I did is was like I show her how to write out what she interested in a form of appreciation. You
Oh,
know, like I appreciate my daughter having me write out AM, or like I appreciate my husband for eating his food, or something like that.
oh, like
You know,
gratitude.
gratitude and also AM at the same time. Something that she realized in her day, or something that she just have a vision, but nobody want to listen to her. Then she can write down in the form of AM, like what she interested, what she, you know, like appreciate, or think that she feel like she would want to do it immediately, something like that, but in the form of appreciation. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that for me. I wanted to tell you, Ben, that this picture that we're looking at right now, there's a man doing a lot of research right now. I may have shown you guys this book before because I love this. It's Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Chamine, and he's done all the scientific work on the brain. And I know that what we're looking at here is a logical representation of what we're talking about, but his functional MRI work has shown that all of the negative thoughts come from the part of the brain that is, you can think of it in this representation as the reptilian part of the brain. It's right in there. And so the picture represents that in a way, but just to say that all negative thoughts come from there, and that part of the brain does not have access to the other parts of the brain, which do have access to positive thought, to creativity, and in this case, to vision. So in a way, your picture represents a real brain in a way, and that all of the positive thought comes from this part of the brain up here, and all of the negative from down here. So when a person wants to shift their thinking from negative to positive, they can do that with some very specific techniques that have a lot to do with meditation and other kinds of things like that. But that's not really why what I want to talk about. I just wanted to say that the definition of happiness that they use in this book is exactly what's in your picture, that you have more positive thoughts and activities happening in your brain than you do negative ones. And so I just thought that the relationship between the two was so profound that it was worth mentioning. And now let me check my I am statement because it was right along there. Yeah. So this works for all kinds of negative. I just want to be cautious to say that always somebody thinks, what about death? Because everything that happens to you, oh, here I am moving my mouse like you can see it, but everything that happens to you, you can look at it from a negative perspective or a positive one. And in this picture, the positive perspectives are all on the right. So it's a higher level of thinking. It's a different part of the brain with access to so many more tools to be able to creativity, to love, etc. And so always when people learn about this technique, they say, what about death? Because, but that's a very special case. And actually the thing about death is that grief, when you're grieving dead people, is a positive thing because you are honoring and respecting their memory in your grief. So in case anyone jumped to that, I just wanted to say that's a special case. But everything else that I was trying to say is that your image is supported by science here. And so it's amazing. I love it when different schools of thought come together and they support each other. So those were my thoughts.
Wonderful, and I appreciate it a lot. I'm so glad that you mentioned the book because it was somewhere in the back of my mind as well. And the point that you make is wonderful in a way that the knowledge of the world itself, it exists. It is already there. And there are just different ways to describe it. There are just different ways to explain it. And tying the activate human brain with the circle of knowledge, you see, they are knowledge of the world. And we have access to it, just like you said, our creativity, our vision. And once it is knowledge, it is the truth, right? You can't deny it. It is the truth, it is the law. We might see it under the lens of survival, or we can see it under the lens of love, of vision, or broaden our view. But the truth is, it doesn't change. The truth applies for Vietnam, for the US, for any other part of the world. So by understanding knowledge, we enrich our life. And the I am, like learning something interesting, actionable, and meaningful, or in this way, lessen deep understanding and enlightenment. And I love the way Giovanni put it, lesson, science point of view, deep understanding, philosophy, and enlightenment, spirituality, but they all point toward one thing. And we apply the I am, right? The lesson, deep understanding, enlightenment, and we have the full picture, the bigger picture of the entire thing. And I love what Diane said earlier about our life experience as well, because if you think about it this way, okay, happiness is all the positivity, right? But imagine how most people choose to live their life through fear. They constantly in survival mode. And if I use my paper to cover the positivity, right? This is something that most people don't see the negative, right? And if you relate this back to the principle of light, of how people try to get darkness out of the dark room, they are not even aware of themselves doing it until the problem occurs, until loss happens.
Mhm.
So by being aware of this picture, and I love this so much, guys, I just come to this realization today, thanks to you. But just look at this, just how bad life is if someone constantly on their survival mode. They wasn't even aware of all of this negativity in their life, but it existed, right? Even if you learn how to live positively, right? You are all about love, you are all about kindness. But imagine every other negativity that exists in your life. So in life, if we want to experience it fully, we have to open up. We have to be willing. We have to have an open mind. We have to be willing to learn. We have to have that willingness to let information come to us. We have to have the willingness to allow knowledge to come to us. And we can talk about this forever, guys, because this literally painted life itself. And if I were to flip this sideways, and this is Giovanni idea a couple of months ago when I introduced the paper, the drawing, we didn't do the presentation, but Giovanni suggests to just turn the picture sideways, and we see something very interesting for those who are familiar with the spiral model, the upward spiral, or the spiral of knowledge. You see, in order to generate this upward spiral or the spiral of knowledge that scientists use, right? Philosophers use, they start with this circle of knowledge here, or you can call it the spiral of knowledge. They start with what they know, and they explore, they spiraling up, they explore the forgotten, the unknown, the unconsciousness, and they are able to download very special knowledge, very special information, and combining the circle of knowledge with activation of the human brain, we gain a much better understanding of step by step of how to do it. So the first step is, and all of it, by the way, just like what Diane said, it is all about living positively, right? It is about positive intelligence. I don't know if that was the right word, but this is how you do it in order to create an upward spiral. Focus on the positivity, right? Accept information as it's good for your survival. Accept positive emotion like love, kindness, compassion, and focus on the positive vision instead of the bad one, right? Focus on the good image and continue to many other layers that we don't have enough information to discuss today, but I'm sure there are more. And it follow a very simple rule. Lean toward positivity, right? Follow the light. Like what Giovanni said, right? Follow the light, walking through that door. There are so many good things in this, and I appreciate it so much. And oh, Victoria has been raising her hand for a while. Please, Victoria, feel free to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Ben, for your generosity. I have to make a very small comment in relation to what Diane just talked, because I think that this point is important. She said that please correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So she said that actually in the thing that whatever negativity or negative thought that we have come from our survival mode. And then she also mentioned about that. And this make me connect these 2 points together. First, I agree that yes, for me, survival mode, I don't say that we don't need survival mode. We need that because it's a fight or flight mode that help us to protect us from danger, immediate danger. Like Ben just mentioned about if the car is coming, is about to crash us, we need to avoid. We shouldn't stay there and say, okay, I don't live on survival mode, so it doesn't matter. No, of course we need to avoid the car. So survival mode in terms of fight or flight is important for us. But it makes us to have a lot of fears and unexplicable fear. It just come. We cannot control that fear. So and then because of the fear, we engage in the process of negativity. We think, okay, this person is going to attack me. This person is bad. This person is my enemy. So because of that fear or a situation or a person, then we engage in the negative thought, and because of negative thought, then we have a bad negative emotion, and then we may engage in an action that we may regret later. That is the downward spiral that we don't want to engage in, fall into the trap. So for me, and then she mentioned about death, and for me, it's just enlightening me. Because why? Because the survival mode is about survive or death, because we don't want to be dying. So that's why for us, we always want to protect something that we think that, oh, it's alive. Except for our physical body, of course, and our health, everything, we need to take care properly of it. But beyond of that is unnecessary. And then for me, I think meditating on impermanence and especially on death is much helpful in terms of help us to get rid of a lot of our unreasonable fears, unfounded fear. So death is very important to think about, to meditate about, and then it helps us to get rid of our negative emotion and negative thought. So that is the point that we like to make, and I think it's at least very important to me. So that's why I would like to share.
Wow, powerful. Thanks, Victoria, because what you said just gave me another idea of the spiral, because you mentioned the downward spiral, and of course the downward spiral affected by the negativity, right? So if if it is negative, it will return back to the lower layer, and if the vision is negative from the human brain, it will lower to the emotion part, and if it's continued to be negative, then it's kicked back to the reptilian brain, which is survival. And, maybe there's another the layer lower than that. But yes, this is wonderful. To be very honest with you, this information come to me, I didn't even understand it as deep as the many perspective you shared today. And I feel so thankful that we have this opportunity to share. And this is the importance of getting together, and there's so much more to talk about, guys. But let's hold your thought, hold your question for many other time that we will have together in next week and many months to come. So hold that thought, and we went over 20 minutes, and I want to be respectful to the time, so that my friend from the East Coast can go to bed and things like that. So I would like to thank you for joining us for this presentation. We will have a different presentation next week that is very much relatable to everything that we have learned. And once again, I love each and every one who are going on this journey, especially Diane, for accepting my invitation this week and share your amazing insight. And we hope to see you more in the future. Thanks, Giovanni, for being our weekly guest, and Victoria too. You are a newcomer, but I love every thought and idea that you share with us. definitely give me new perspective in this material. And with that, I would like to play a song before, and then we can say bye to each other. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Thank you. Bye bye.